Hey guys, it's Kells here today, and I'm coming to you from my car. As you can see, I kind of had a random thought that I wanted to express to you guys, and I didn't feel like setting up everything. It is another reverse culture shock issue that I'm dealing with, and it is desirability. As a woman, especially as a black woman, especially as a dark-skinned black woman, transitioning still a year and a half later, coming back from London back to the States. So before I moved to London, I always kind of had the feeling that maybe I was perceived as less desirable, especially because my darker skin, and just because you just kind of slightly get that feeling. I was not one of the dark skinned women that had a lot of issue with my dark skin. I don't have that many colorism issues. While we did have very fair people in my family and very darker skinned people in my family, my immediate family, meaning my mother, my father, my brother, and myself, my parents never made it an issue in our household, luckily. And then what I did experience in extended family didn't really impact me that much. What I experienced in the world didn't really impact me that much because my parents had such a strong grounding with me and just made it very clear that your intelligence and your beauty shone through skin tones, and they just never made it an issue, so it never was an issue for me. So all the time before I moved to London, never really focused on it. Did hear people with that issue, but for me it really wasn't that much of an issue. When I went to London and realized how desirable I was perceived to be from the outside world, that is when I realized that things in the States were completely different. London, Stockholm, Belgium, Paris, Madrid, all of these places that I traveled to, and I realized that, oh my gosh, the attention that I'm getting. And I did do a video on my channel earlier, a few years back, where I was saying, oh, you only like me because I'm black. And I think that was my initial feeling. But having come back and having looked at the reverse culture shock now, I realized that it wasn't necessarily they only liked me because I'm black. They just liked me for my beauty and for who I was, and I wasn't being alienated or seen as less desirable than because of my skin tone. And that's what I feel the sense is here in the States, right? That because you are a darker skin tone, you're not as worthy for marriage. You're not as beautiful. You might not be as intelligent. You might not be as worth getting into a relationship as. And to be honest with you, that's what I feel here. And the desirability as a woman is something that, while some of us might say, it's not really that big of a deal, if we really look into it and really evaluate how we feel, it kind of is a huge deal. You know what I mean? And that's something that I've experienced along my journey and wanted to express to you guys here, and maybe you guys have experienced it. And how do you deal with that perception that you're not as desirable, you're not as deserving as your lighter skinned counterparts? And colorism is not something that I talk about a lot on this channel, because it's not something that I really felt angst about. But now that I'm going along in my journey, and I'm looking around and realizing, oh wait, I do get the sense that the only people that deserve to be married are the lighter skin or the mixed people. Why am I feeling that way? And I know that I don't have too much of a complex internally on that, but when I do look around, that's what you see, so it's kind of like, how do you deal with that? How do you still show up in this world feeling that you are deserving and knowing, and still, while still working on yourself and working to get to your best self, but how do you continue to show up in this world kind of with the sense that people around you are perceiving you as less than because of your darker skin tone, or because of what they perceive your darker skin tone means, right? So this is something that I've been thinking about a lot lately, that I wanted to share with you guys and express, and wanted to get your feedback on that. It's like, how do you deal with that feeling? How do you keep going and not make it be something that is a thought that overcomes you, and a thought that makes you feel like you know, maybe you can't compete, even though that maybe that's the emotional side of it, but in your head you absolutely know that, okay, I'm a bad, you know, I'm a baddie, I have these and these things going for me, and I know how to relate to people and all of the things that would make you a baddie. But how do you keep those at the forefront and not let the whole idea that maybe people perceive you as less desirable based on the evidence that you're seeing in the real world, you know, because of your dark skin tone? Anyway, oh yeah, and I know a lot of people are like, well, girl, you're not that dark. I know I'm not that dark, but I'm not that light either. So, you know, it's something that I am experiencing. So comment below, let me know what you guys think on it. Should I talk more on this topic? I wanted to share this because I know I've said in the past that it's not been an issue for me, but along my journey, I'm finding that looking around and just observing what's going on, I think it might, it's kind of starting to be a little bit of an issue for me, because I'm like, wait a minute, am I not deserving? And you know, is this, you know, I don't really necessarily feel it's a personal indictment or a flaw, but it is a perception that I am highly aware of, especially coming back from traveling overseas and living overseas, where you were received as a goddess. And you know, I'm not gonna lie, you were received as a goddess, partially because of your beauty, partially because of being American, partially because of the class that they think you fall into and being educated and well-spoken. All of those things make you, you know, desirable. But I felt like beauty is the first thing that people see, and I felt like my beauty was received a completely different way and on a higher level than it is here in my own country. So it's something that I'm dealing with, and I know that a lot of you guys, even though you may have not traveled, you probably get that sense. I absolutely know, because I read the comments and I know what you guys are kind of sensing. But what I'm wanting to crowdsource and, you know, learn from the collective wisdom of the It's Kells community is, how do you deal with that? And how do we start that discussion about perceived beauty and perceived desirability, you know, as it relates to being here in the States, and as it relates to reverse culture shock that I'm experiencing coming back from London. Anyway, that's a quick thought from my car. Yeah, I just had that thought and that experience, and it's really annoying me. So I wanted to share it with you guys and let you guys know a portion of my journey. And comment below and let me know what you think and how we can deal with this. Anyway, thanks guys.